Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Yolanda. Good morning, Haley. We just wait for everybody to come in. Good morning. Alright, so let me just set up this. How do you feel so far? Good morning. So let's add this source here. Alright, so how is everybody today? Dr. Now there will be a little delay in my voice reaching you and your voice coming back to me. So just bear with the little wait. Right, that's nothing. Just bear with the wait for now. Alright, so everybody know the purpose of what we're doing, right? These are the remedial classes, uh, starting from scratch. Almost everyone in the country starting from scratch. Classes wouldn't be the 2 hours. Like on the front, it will not be the 2 hours because how we using YouTube, I do have to wait for all of to take down that initial 2 hour time period was created by thinking I'm going to use Zoom, but I rather use YouTube to reach everybody in case people not here. They could always come up and video videos. Um, everybody hear me properly, right? I hope that the music don't me, right? If need be, I will just turn up my microphone volume so just let me know if you hear me properly, if you hear me better than the music. So yeah, classes are not going to be that long. It's going to be the average length of a video on YouTube, right? Right. Tell me now. Better? Kalau tell me wala satu, kalau tell me, right? I could come a little closer to the mic as well. So the videos are not going to be that long. So like for example, this morning when you're going to have class, I already make out all the notes for you, so I don't have to waste time writing. All you will have to go back when I finish, go back and rewatch the live and take down all the notes and probably do all the examples. I am creating a folder for you guys where I'll be just pushing in a lot of worksheets there for you all to practice for me. Okay? Um Now, everybody, what's the biggest problem in mathematics right now? I know everybody in Form 3. What is the biggest problem in mathematics right now? Because we will be starting with decimal places, significant figures, and standard notation. I'm telling you, we started from the ground, come up. I'll have enough time for me to prepare all you for CX. So tell me, what's the biggest challenge in mathematics right now? See one man say algebra a little bit. I can always turn up my microphone volume. Let me see what I can do here. And you all supposed to hear me there. Not really much I could do there. Remembering it. You see, that is the thing with mathematics. I don't want all to just remember mathematics. I want all to understand it. If you understand mathematics, it becomes extremely easy. Extremely easy. Alright, so I get this a lot. Algebra. Algebra. The entirety of maths is algebra. Alright? Is it very soft? I need to know if it's very soft. Alright, so what I can do, I can take off this here. Right? Is it better now? Talma. Testing, testing. Testing, 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 testing. Yeah, I could turn up all the volume on the other side as well, right? We could just work out all the kinks. I don't know why it's sounding so soft for. I'm gonna check something, right? So while I'm checking this here, algebra is literally everything in mathematics. I tell you everything. I tell you everything. Anything that has a letter in it, algebra. Interesting. Right, that's fine there. I can turn this up a little bit. Yeah. Yeah, I can work with that, yeah. Just hope my mic doesn't peak. Ooh, I peaked a little bit just now, yeah. Alright. Right. Yeah. I should be good here, right? Good. Yeah, everything in mathematics is algebra. As soon as you see a letter in math is algebra. And if you go through in any past paper, all of the questions will have letters in them. So it's just for us to get accustomed first dealing with questions that does not involve letters, and then we will transition into questions that does involve letters. What I can do in the meantime, I have the names for everybody here, right? I want to keep track of who is in the class and who isn't. Is it too loud now, Kaylee? Now, if I pronounce her name wrong, hard luck. Sorry. Right, so I will share something with all here that you all will be able to follow all the attendance for me. Okay? So let me see. Just follow this here real quick. So in the meantime, I'll talk to me in the meantime. Much better. Okay, cool. All right. Today is the 18th of September, right? So what I want to do, I'm gonna send all you a little Excel sheet next to the name. I just want all you to put either present or absent. Use the emails that you will give Miss. Okay, those emails that you will give Miss Ramnanan. Use those emails to edit the document. So I'm going to send it now. All right, so I'll save a copy of this here, right? Um, yes, yes. Okay, so everybody should be getting this here. Save. Right. All right. So I'm gonna put this in the chat now. Um, look out for it in the chat. Just put present or absent in the column down with the date. Right. 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 So you will be able to edit it. Right. All right. Please don't put present for somebody else because I also get records of who is participating in the chat. I think everybody participating in the chat. So go and put in all your present or absent day for me. For select. Alright. Again, like I say, use all your um, email that will give Miss Ramnaman. Alright. So with that being said, I think I ready. Already? Tell me if all ready. Wait until here when all ready. And then we're gonna dive into it. No, no, no. You're using your right. So to edit that document, you're supposed to be signing with a particular email. You have to download the app to do so. Download it? Oh, most all on the phone. Oh. Alright. I know see. Since most all on the phone, I'll go let me know where's the scene. I go alright, that's small thing. I didn't think about all I go be taking it on the phone. Alright, that's small thing. Alright, so tell me, since all on the phone, right? All I could see this properly. Let me have a look at see this properly. LEA. Okay, I'll change it. Alright, Dianosine. I will go back and I will check the names and I will cross-reference the names with the document, and I go manually mark who present and who absent. Are they comfortable seeing this whole screen? Are they supposed to be able to see this whole screen? Don't worry with the link anymore. No worries with the link. Or look at see the notes that are on the screen right now. It starts at decimal places. Up here we are drawing in the pupil, and it ending for now at first decimal place, second decimal place. Right, all are supposed to be seen it properly. Well, could probably make it a little bigger. Let me see what I could do here, right? Let me see if I can make it a little bit bigger and move it around a little bit. Right, just give me a second. I want to make sure everybody gets equal opportunity to view the document properly. Right, make sure I want all to see everything that's on the screen. Right, now if it is a little too small, this is what we're gonna do, right? We will, when you're taking down your notes, remember you have the zoom function on YouTube. So you could actually just pinch and zoom, and when you're taking down your notes, after you go back and watch the live, you can, I'll be reading everything, so you can just take down your notes and pause, take it down, pause, take it down, pause, and so on. Okay? So let me start something here. Seeing 15 people here, right? So we started with decimal places. Although it might be very, very simple, I still want to make sure that everybody good to go with decimal places. So don't worry with the link again. Don't fight up with the link. I will manually go through the chat and I will put whoever present and whoever absent. All right. Decimal places. Everybody's supposed to be able to identify a decimal place. A decimal place occurs when you see it have a decimal in a number. So for example, we start counting our decimal places after a decimal point. So we have the first example here, 3.2167. So we see the decimal point here. This is the decimal point, and you'll see me abbreviating decimal point as DP. So we start counting. 1, 2, 3, 4. So in this number, we actually have 4 decimal places. In the second one, I see in the decimal point here, then I start counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I have 5 decimal points. Over here, I have 1, 2, 3. I actually have 4 decimal points in this number. Although those zeros at the end there have no significance, the number is presented to me in such a way that I have 4 decimal points. Now, we need to learn how to round off or how to approximate. When rounding off to a certain number of decimal places, we perform the following steps. So the first thing we do, the question will ask me, here what is this? Round off this number to so by so decimal places. So identify the number of decimal places the question wants. Alright, this is what I go do. I think I should be able to, let me come back here and tell me if this makes any difference. Right, that's okay, it could be plenty. Tell me if this making any difference at all. Just huh? No, it will not be lined up because I make the texts significantly bigger, right? So wherever we see it, I'll just scroll to the left or to the right when we read it. Is that better, yes or no? Supposed to be better there. Like I said, don't worry with putting present or absent on the rule. Don't fight up with it. This better? I'll wait for it to come in the chat. Now remember, it will have that what to put it boy, the delay for my voice to reach earlier and for all the responses in chat to come back to me. So it will take a little while for me to respond to all the responses. So everybody can see the words and stuff a little better now. Okay, good. You can see clearly now. Good. Perfect. Handwriting confusing. Don't worry about that, right? Because it's aligning up with the lines, don't worry about that. Just follow with my words, alright? Follow with my words. So we need to figure out how we're rounding off these decimal places. So the first thing we do, identify the number of decimal places the question wants. So let me say the question wants it to round it off to 2 decimal places, and we have the example here as we list the steps, right? So this is step 1. Round off 3.725 to 2 decimal places. No problem. So we identify what the question wants. The question wants me to give this answer accurate to 2 decimal places. Step 2. We look at the number after the specified number of decimal places. Now what does this mean? If the question asks me, here was the scene, I want you to give my answer correct to 2 decimal places, I looking at the number after the second decimal place, which will be the 3rd decimal place. If the question asks round this number off to 7 decimal places, I'm going to look at the 8th decimal place. If the question wants it to 25 decimal places, I'm going to look at the 26th decimal place. So when I look here, the question wants me to round off to 2 decimal places. We look at the 3rd decimal place. Alright, step 3. If that number is greater than or equal to 5, we add 1 to the specified decimal place. Well, I'm looking at my 3rd decimal place, accounting this is my 1st, this is my 2nd, this is my 3rd decimal place. Brother man, it 5 or more. He is greater than or equal to 5. So if he is greater than or equal to 5, I must add 1 to my specified decimal place in the question. The specified number of decimal places in the question was to 2 decimal places. He is more than 5, so I added 1 to the 2. When I add 1 to the 2, I get 3.73. Now if you realize, my answer will have just 2 decimal places in it. If the number is less than 5, we don't add anything. We just give the answer and leave just 2 decimal places in the number. So just a little by the way, step 4, make sure your answer has this number of specified decimal places in it. Diagnosing. So let's go into a couple of examples. So the first example asks, and I will just move this a little bit here so the lines go line up a little better. Nice, I could work with that. So the question asks to round off each of these numbers to one decimal place, then 2, then 3 for numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4. So let me do the first one. If I have to round off to one decimal place, I must look at my second decimal place. In the first number, my second decimal place is 2. Well, 2 is less than 5, so I added nothing. I just given the answer with how much decimal places they ask for, which is 4.6. Next, if the question asks for 2 decimal places, well, I'm looking at my third decimal place. This here is my third decimal place. Is more than 5, so I add 1 to the previous decimal place, which becomes 4.63. The 3 decimal places now are looking at my fourth decimal place, which is 8. I must add 1 to my third decimal place because 8 is more than 5. So here now I will get 4.627 and 1 is 8. Let's do the second one now. To one decimal place, I'll look at my second decimal place. Well, the second decimal place is indeed more than 5. So this becomes 3.2. Next, to 2 decimal places, I'm looking at my third. He is less than 5. I don't do nothing, so it remains as 3.19. And to 3 decimal places, I'm looking at the fourth decimal place, which in this case is 4, and I get 192. 4 is less than 5, so we don't add anything. So I will just leave the last one for you guys to do. So I'll do number 3 now. To one decimal place, I'll look at my second decimal place. Is 0. 0 is less than 5, so I just give my answer correct to one decimal place, which is 0.0. To 2 decimal places, I look at my third, which is 7. It's more than 5, so I add 1 to my second decimal place, 0.01. And finally, to 3 decimal places, I look at my fourth decimal place. I look at my fourth decimal place, which is 7 again. The 7 is more than 5, so I add 1 to my third decimal place. I get 0.008. Nice. So I'll leave a number for all to do. If all have any questions, please write them down. I will give you all a forum in where you can communicate with me and ask me any questions. Alright, so tell me, decimal places. That is it for decimal places, eh? That is it. Anybody have anything to question on decimal places so far? Right, in the meantime, while I'm questioning that, I'm going to just arrange this so you will line up with the lines a little bit here. Come on, ask my questions. If all I have no questions, then I'm glad. Right? But I'm glad if all I have questions as well. I'm more glad if all I have questions than I do have questions, to be very honest. Alright, good. Let me dive into significant figures. Significant figures are a little different from decimal places. So we start counting significant figures at the first non-zero number in a number. So for example, 6703.1 has 5 significant figures. My first non-zero number is 6. So I start counting. So I count my first, my second, my third, my fourth, and my fifth significant figure. This particular number, it just has one decimal place, but it has 5 significant figures. 402 has 3 significant figures because I start counting at my first non-zero number. Although I have a 0 afterwards, I still count that 0. The reason is it has significance in the number. So my first significant figure, second significant figure, and my third significant figure. The number 2000 has 4 significant figures. My first, second, third, and fourth. The number 0.01 will just have one significant figure because I have to start counting at the first non-zero number. My first non-zero number in this case will be 1. So I start counting as soon as I encounter a first non-zero number. We have to learn to round off the significant figures just like in decimal places. So when rounding off certain numbers to a certain significant figure, and you'll see me abbreviate significant figure as S.F or sigfig, SIG, FIG. So I'll read it over. When rounding off numbers to a certain significant figure, we apply the same laws for spell this wrong, for rounding off decimal places. But we must place all numbers after the specified number of significant figure with zeros. And this is what is kind of for people head a little bit, but we will practice it now. We are frightened, right? We are frightened. So, for example, 734,926. I want to round this off to 3 significant figures. The first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to count how much significant figures does this particular number have. Well, this fella have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He have 6 significant figures. Alright? I want to round off the 3 significant figures, so it's the exact same procedure like in decimal places. I look at my 4th significant figure. My 4th significant figure in this case is 9. Is 9 greater than 5? Yes. If 9 is greater than 5, I must add one number, well, I must add 1 to the number before. So I added 1 to the number before, so this becomes 735. But I am done. I had to replace everything afterwards with zeros. So if you look at it here, we must look at the 4th significant figure, which is 9. 9 is greater than 5, and this is the symbol for greater than. So we add 1 to the 3rd significant figure. So we get 735. And the law says, well, we must replace all numbers after with zeros. So I'm replacing the 9, the 2, and the 6. I'm replacing them fellas with zeros. Let me do the second one. 2493.12. I'm going to count how much significant figures this fella have. He has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 significant figures. Right? I just counting it just for a little practice. I want to round it off to 3 significant figures. I must look at my 4th significant figure. So 1, 2, 3, I'm looking at my 4th. Brother man, he is less than 5. And I added nothing. I just put in back my 3 significant figures, which is 249. And I replace the rest with zeros. So I must get a 0 here and a 0.00. Right? I want a little put in that 0.00 for me, okay? Please. Next, we want to round off this big number here to 5 significant figures. Well, if I'm rounding off to 5 significant figures, I must look at my 6th significant figure. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is my 6th significant figure, which is the number 9. 9 is more than 5, so I must add 1 to the number before. When I add 1 to the number before, I get 9. So my answer will be 9824.9. And I'm replacing the rest with zeros. 0, 0, 0. So let me do these questions here. Any questions so far? Feel free to ask. Don't feel shame to ask, please. So I want to round off to 1 decimal place. If I'm rounding off to 1 decimal place, I must look at my second decimal place. I'm looking at my second decimal place. This fella is less than 5, so my number remains as is with 1 decimal place. So this remains as 673.2. If I'm rounding off to 2 decimal places, I must look at the third decimal place, which in this case is 7. 7 is more than 5, so I add 1 to the number before, so I get 673.22. To one significant figure, I look at my second significant figure. In this case here, see if you all can pause the video. Alright, if you want, you could pause the video and see if you could figure out what is my second significant figure for this first question. Alright, so I'll give you all 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. So my second significant figure in this case is the number 7. 7 is more than 5, so I add 1 to my first significant figure, which is 7. 6 plus 1 is 7, and I replace every other number after with zeros. So I had 0, 0.000. To two significant places, to two significant figures, I must look at my third significant figure. My third significant figure is 3. He is not more than 5, so I'll leave my question with two significant figures, 6, 7, and I replace everything else with zeros. 0, 0.00 and 0. To 1 decimal place now. After, again, look at my second decimal place, which in this case is a 0, so this fella becomes 0.0. To 2 decimal places, I'm looking at the third, which is a 4, again, less than 5, 0.00. One significant figure, this fella here is my first significant figure, 4. My second significant figure I must look at, which is 7, more than 5, so I add 1 to the 4. So this fella becomes 0.00500. To two significant figures, again, I'm going to give all you a chance. I'm looking at the third significant figure. Take 5 seconds to tell me what is the third significant figure in this number. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. My third significant figure here will be 9. This is my first, my second, and my third significant figure. So given that 9 is more than 5, I must add 1 to the number before, so I get 0.0048, and I replace everything else after with zeros. Again, I'll leave in this last one here for all you to do. So, awaiting again, that is it for significant figures. That is literally it for significant figures. Does anybody have any questions on decimal places or on significant figures? Feel free to communicate with me in the chat and let me know. There's enough of people say no, 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 no. If you don't put the zeros, what would it be considered wrong? It will not be considered wrong, no, because those zeros after the decimal point, they kind of have no value, but the reason I want you all to put in the zeros is if you decide not to put in zeros here, and I've seen it happen already, the students tend to not put in zeros after the first one here. After this piece here, they just leave it as 7. So that is why I will stress to input your zeros. Regardless if it has any effect on the number, put in the zeros. Like I say, I have seen people round this off to one significant figure and just put 7, which is wrong. Right? Because they decided not to put in the zeros because they get so accustomed not putting in zeros for a decimal, it'll just slip their mind to put in the zeros for a whole number. Alright, so we're going into scientific or standard notation. So scientific or standard notation is just a method to write a number a different way. So let me just take off this here, take off this here, and take off this here. Take off that, and take off this here. Good. Bam, take off all this here. If you forget to put the point, will it be wrong? If you forget to put the point, it depends on if anything comes after the point. If you have a number other than 0 after the point, and you forget to put the point, then yes, it will be wrong. That point, it has a purpose. So for example, 273.46. This point have a purpose. This number is different from 27346. If I forget the point, I change the value of the number. But if I have 273.00 and I just put 273, no problem with that at all. Right? No problem with that at all. I used to count from the ones. What I mean, DeAndrea. We used to count from the ones. We count from the first non-zero number. Alright, the first non-zero number, it could be a 1, it could be a 2, it could be a 3, a 4, a 5, a 6, a 7, a 8, a 9. All those are non-zero numbers. Alright, so as I see a question come in, I'll answer it. So we go in with scientific or standard notation. So like I said, it's just a method used to write a number a different way. That value of the number, it remains unchanged. So first things first, to write any number in standard notation, we must move the decimal place so that it is between the first two non-zero numbers. Alright, so for example, 6714.23. So I'll give you another 5 seconds again. I'll give another 10 seconds this time. That decimal point, it had to move. It have to move to be between the first two non-zero numbers in the number. Alright? So, the first two non-zero numbers will be what? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. The first two non-zero numbers is 6 and 7. So that point had to move to be between 6 and 7. Well, what direction I move in it is important. How much times I move it is important. So we must move the point so that it is between the 6 and the 7. Alright? So that's the first step. After we do that, we multiply by all the time 10 to the power n, where n is the number of decimal places we use. Alright? I've seen people saying 4 and 1. We're on the notes. Alright, we're on the notes. This here. Alright? For those of you who were a little confused, we was on the notes, right? We was non-example, this example here. Okay? If we move the point to the left, n is positive. If we move the point to the right, n is negative. So first things first, you're not seeing that example. Let me just check and see what I'll seen from my phone here, right? So I will actually check the live and see what going on. Nah man, I seen the example. I seen everything clear here, man. No little man, let's set them up. Oh, they go set them up so dread. Now remember, you could pinch and zoom in some phones. You could actually pinch and zoom your YouTube, right? And you can move it about the place. Yeah, man, I seen everything good here. All right. So you're moving along. All right, I'm gonna read over the note, right? Because we have a little disruptions here. To write any number in standard notation, we must move the decimal point so that it is between the first two non-zero numbers. For example, 6714.23, we must move the point so that it is between the 6 and the 7. And we must multiply at the end by 10 to the power n, where n is the number of decimal places we moved. So let's attempt the first one here. Let me line it up on the lines for all of them. All right. I will line up all these here in the meantime. Right. So we have a little. I want to conduct a little exercise with all of here, right? And I want to listen to me while I move these things. All right. On a regular, to the right is considered negative or positive? To the right, all right? Is that negative or is that positive? Tell me. Is to the right negative or positive? Think of your number line. We have we number line 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. And -1, -2, -3, -4, and so on. So I'm asking, to the right, if I'm going rightwards, is it negative or positive? Jiran, where you change the answer? Haley, you too. Look at the number line and tell me if Allah will change your answer or not. Is to the right negative or positive? To the right is always positive. Alright? To the left is negative. Always remember that. If you get in trouble remembering it, just remember your number line. I just draw your number line and remember it. So on that same note, up. Is up positive or negative? Is up positive or negative? And put the word up is negative or up is positive in your answers, right? So I gonna know is that one I ask, is that one I answering? Up, is it negative or positive? Yeah, upwards. Think about it logically now. If you're going up, will that be plus or minus? It will be plus. If we're going down, that could be minus. Okay? Up is positive, down is negative, right is positive, left is negative. Just remember that. Okay? And that is generally for just knowledge, right? It's common knowledge that up and to the right is positive. Let's see what happens when we start dealing with standard notation and what happens to this up, left, down, right business. So we have the same question from the example in the notes. I must move the decimal places to the left. So I move one decimal place, two decimal place, three decimal places. So the point now comes here. So I rewrite my number with the point in the new position. 6.71423, and the note says I must multiply by 10 to the power n. So I'm multiplying by 10 to some power n, where n is the number of decimal places we move. So I actually moved it 1, 2, I moved this fella 3 decimal places. So I put in 3 up here. Now notice something here. I moved decimal place 3 places to the left. I moved this decimal place 3 places to the left. We just now had a big discussion and we say that our left is negative. When I'm dealing with standard notation or scientific notation, left is positive, right is negative. That's the only time you're going to encounter this. For standard notation, if I'm moving a point to the left, the power becomes negative. Sorry, the power becomes positive, sorry. If I'm moving a point to the right, the power becomes negative. So this fella here remains as positive 3. You don't have to put in the positive sign. As we do more examples, you all get accustomed to it. For my second example, I have to move the point to the right. So I'm counting, I'm moving it 1, 2, 3, 4. I move this fella 4 places to the right. I rewrite my number 4.12 multiplied by 10 to the power 4. But because I moved to the right, right is now negative for standard notation. So I'll put my negative number here. For the last one, 67143. For all numbers, the decimal point is always at the end of a whole number. So if I have a whole number with no decimal places, by default, the decimal point exists to the end of the number. So I'm going to input where the decimal point really is. We just don't write it in because it's understood. So I have to move this decimal point 1, 2, 3, 4 places. So I write my new number 6.7143 multiplied by 10 to the power 4. But I moved 4 places to the left. When I move to the left, it's positive. So I'll leave this fella here as positive. Again, you do have to put in the positive sign. So let me do another exercise here. 124.247. If I want to round this off to one significant figure, I must look at my second significant figure, which is 2. Brother man, he less than 5. So I remain with one significant figure, fill out everything else with zeros. 0.000. To 2 decimal places, I will look at my third decimal place. My third decimal place is 7. I must add 1 to my second decimal place because he is more than 5. So this becomes 124.25. And if I want to express the number in standard notation, the point must move 2 places to the left. So this becomes 1.24247 multiplied by 10 to the power 2. But I moved to the left, so I want to take 5 seconds and tell me, is the power going to be positive or is the power going to be negative? And actually write that in the chat. The power is going to be positive or negative. I'll give you all 10 seconds to tell me. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So the power here, if I'm moving to the left, the power is going to be positive. Next one, 0.617. So one significant figure. Well, I'll look at my second significant figure, which is 1. So this fella becomes 0.600. Alright? Alright, I'm seeing some answers coming in here. The power is going to be negative. Now remember, to the left is negative, to the right is positive for we number line. For scientific notation, it's the opposite. For scientific notation, when I move a point to the left, it's positive. And when I move a point to the right, it's negative. Okay? I'll put that as a note here. For our number line, to the left is positive. Sorry, to the left is negative. My bad. To the left is negative. So we number line. And to the right is positive. But for scientific or standard notation, moving a point to the left will give a positive power. And moving a point to the right will give a negative power. Just remember that, okay? So let me do the second one here now. To 2 decimal places, I will look at my third decimal place. Again, my third decimal place is 7, which is greater than 5, so I get 0.62. Standard notation, I have to move the point 1 place to the right. So this fella becomes 6.17 by 10. I moved it to the right, so my power is negative. I move it 1 place, so it becomes negative 1. I'll leave in those two for you to do, and I'll do this one here, right? One significant figure, I'll look at the second significant figure. More than 5, so I'll add 1 to the first. 3.000. 2 decimal places, I look at the third decimal place, it's 6. I have to add 1 to my second decimal place. But watch what happens here. When I add 1 to 9, I get 10. I cannot write 10 as a decimal place. So whenever I have to add 1 to 9, I do like regular addition and I carry across the 1 to the next number. So this becomes 2.7, and I will just put the 10 like this, 2.710, but we can't write it like that. So we just add 1 to the 7 and we get 2.780. Okay? And then the little exercise I have for you all get practice with that. Well, it just so happened for this one, the number is already between the first two non-zero numbers, so this fella remains as 2.796 by 10 to the power 0, because I have moved the point no way, so it becomes 10 to the power 0. I'll leave in the last one for you to do, and it have a nice little sheet here, right? Now all you will be able to see the answers for just 3 of them. So I'm going to rub up the answers, or you could always go back and view the answers and try and figure out, well, why the answers was like that. And complete this table for me, right? When you will complete this table for me, I want all you to take pictures of all your work, and I'm trying to figure out what is the best way for all you to upload all your work for me. Or you could either email the work for me, or I think emails is the best thing. All right, emails will always be the best thing, but let me figure out what to do now. Let me figure out what to do. For now, I will create a chain of emails for everybody in the classroom. Once you give Miss Ramnanan your name and your email, you will receive an email from me. When you are replying to the email, just reply to the email from me. Okay? Um, I'll figure out what is the best way for us to communicate with each other. I wouldn't use WhatsApp and thing right now because I just moved back and out, because you gotta go and create the group and I gotta send out links for the group and stuff. If push come to shove, we could do that. Any questions? I'm listening. Any questions at all? I could do a Google class, yes. I am considering that. Alright? Again, I'll just add you all to the Google Classroom and we can communicate everything from there. I can send notes and worksheets and from there, or I can upload all the work on there as well, so it don't take up much space. Alright, so I will I will definitely think about creating the Google class. Look out for it in all the emails now. I'll also tell Ms. Ramnanan to make sure that all I get through. So I see, okay, more than one person recommended the Google Classroom, which gives me the impression that all are using Google Classroom. So I will do that. I will make the Google Classroom for everybody. Look out for email on it. All right. What I want all you to do is to go back, watch over the video, take down all the notes, do the questions. All right. Pause if you have to pause. Try and figure out what the answer is before I give the answer, even though you're looking back at the video, and finish all the ones that I left out for you guys. Alright, I will make the Google Classroom for you guys. Alright, so classes are going to be about 45 minutes to an hour long, and the rest of time, all you're going to take to write down all the notes by looking back at the video. So by all means, go ahead and look back at the video. Does anybody have any questions? I'm waiting. Do it and hold on to it for now. Right, is Shalana. Do it and hold on to it for now until I make the classroom and I'll get the invites and stuff. As soon as I'll make get the invite to the classroom, I'll could go ahead and put up all your work there. No problem at all. Alright, well, if you all have no more questions, then I will see everyone next week. Same place, same time. Now, not every week it's going to be a live session, okay? Some weeks it's going to be a schedule upload where I will just I will record a video and upload it for you guys, and I'll take it in from there. All interaction should be done in the comment section for those type of videos if you all have any questions. Even for this one, if you all have any questions when this video goes public, and you all are able to comment under it, go ahead and comment your questions underneath it, and I will address all questions in the next video. Okay, so you all can go ahead. Everyone have a safe, enjoyable day and weekend, and I will see everyone next week.